So normal stuff. We're gonna read it. I'm gonna ask you maybe a question or two. Nothing difficult, and we'll move on. Okay, we're good. So you can start at Ruth, um, right there. Yeah, I clicked the box right there. 13. If you're gonna start at 13.
You said 13?
Yeah, Ruth chapter 4, verse 13.
So Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife. And when he went in unto her, the Lord gave her conception, and she bare him a son.
Okay, so there's a process to that you'll get familiar to. Anybody listening, you'll have um, so Boaz took Ruth. So the word took, that word get used to. You're gonna see take. You're gonna see taken. It's all the same thing. Took, taken, take, all verbs of the same word, just different tenses. Okay. So and you'll see they always take the woman first, and then she was his wife, and then he went into her. So just listen to the process here. So she became his wife before he went into her, because you'll hear something different if you let people talk. But with your own eyes, you read, you got to take the woman first. And after taking her, she become your wife. And then sometimes you go into her, right? So that's a process. Sometimes you go into her and she's your wife. That happens a lot. But that's not the end all be all. That's not the only way. You have a take, and then they're your wife after you take them, and then you go into her, right? So just keep that process in mind, because you're going to read that later and later and later. And we kind of read that with Tamar, but I want you to keep that process. It's a take, she's your wife, and then you go into her. And now she gave, and then you go into her. That doesn't mean you're going to have a kid, because if you look at when we read about different people who were barren, like Sarah didn't have kids after Abraham went into her. So just because they go into you doesn't mean there's going to be a son or daughter. So she bare the son in this case, right? And okay, you go 14.
Hmm. And the woman said unto Naomi, Blessed be the Lord, which has not left thee this day without a kinsman, but his name may be famous in Israel.
Right. Okay, so now it says daughter-in-law, right? Did it say daughter-in-law?
No.
In
Oh
verse,
yeah.
I'm sorry, we didn't read that. So we got, and the woman said to Naomi, I'm sorry, verse 15, we're gonna read that. Go to verse 15.
And he shall be unto thee a restorer of thy life, and nourisher of thine old age. For thy daughter-in-law, which loveth thee, which is better to thee than 7 sons, has borne him.
Hold on. So a woman, a daughter, is better than hold on. So a birth of a daughter is better than 7 sons? Is that what you read?
Um, I guess so. I'm not sure. I don't know. That's kind of confusing.
Okay, so I'll read it over. It says, and he, so this is the son that Ruth just had, and he shall be a son unto thee, a restorer of thy life, and a
Mm.
nourisher of thine old age. For thy daughter-in-law, so the daughter-in-law is Ruth, right? Ruth is the daughter-in-law to Naomi.
Mm-hmm.
We read that before. Okay. So your daughter-in-law loveth you, Naomi. So your daughter-in-law Ruth to Naomi. Don't forget, Naomi had a husband who died, and she had
Right.
2 sons who died. Okay, so it's saying that her daughter-in-law replaced her 2 boys. So This is showing you how strong their relationship is. And this is a woman who's not kin to her at all, no biological, no seed, no bloodline, nothing. And it's saying that Ruth to Naomi, a Moabite, is better than 7 sons that have born. Okay, so 7 sons would be of Israel, of course. So this foreigner who's not related to Naomi will be better than 7 sons. So we have a comparison. So the whole thing I want to key on is that we have a comparison between a daughter, because if you let people talk, it's all about the man, the man, the man. The woman is insignificant. But here we read that one woman is more important than 7 boys, right? And it says the word better. So that's to let you know right there where we at. So I always say this, um, that when you open the Bible, you can't try to find God. You gotta let God find you. And another way I use that is you can't go searching for what fits your lifestyle, right? And that's what most people do. When they open a book, they want to read what fits their lifestyle and they want to close it as soon as they find it, disregarding everything else. Now, that's not the way you read the Bible. You read the Bible and you let them see how, so you let the word see how you're going to fit in, not you read the word, see how the word going to fit in your life. So it's the opposite of what you're looking for. So in other words, like you don't go looking for something in particular or specific. You just read it. And whatever you get, you just get and you accept it and you move on with your life. Okay. So now, this dark bold, what does that title? What does that say?
The line of David began here.
Right. So this is David, King David. All right, now read 16. So I'll put a check mark where you could read from. And if you don't see a check mark, don't read it. Okay, go ahead.
And Naomi took the child and laid it in her bosom and became nurse unto it.
Okay, so let's not forget that Naomi at this point will be the grandmother-in-law, right? Because she is not related to Ruth at all. So Ruth is the one who gave birth, and Naomi is Ruth's mother-in-law. Okay, so now you can read 17.
And the women, her neighbors, gave it a name, saying, "There is a son born to Naomi." And they call his name Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David.
All right, and I find that interesting that Ruth gave birth to the boy, and it said there is a son born to Naomi. So these kind of verses that you want to write down, not you, and people that watch the video, it could be you as well. These type of verses you want to write down, and you want to ask other people, other teachers, leaders, and generals, and all type of shit. You want to ask them, what does that mean? Because we know Naomi didn't get birth; it was Ruth. But why is it saying there is a son born to Naomi? And watch how they fumble the ball, because that right there, it doesn't fit their doctrine. Like I said, when you read the Bible, you don't try to see how the Bible gonna fit into your life. You see how you're gonna fit into the Bible. Okay. So let's go down. Let's go down. Let's go down. Okay. So we're past all that. So anyway, it shows you the lineage, right? So uh I'll read this. It says, so you could just look. So verse 18, it says, okay, it says this is the lineage of David, right? It says, so we had there is a son born to Naomi, which is Ruth, and they called his name Obed, and he is the father of Jesse, the father of David. So Ruth is the grandmother of David, right? And Boaz, her husband, would be the grandfather of David. So it says now these are the generations of Pharez. So Pharez is who we read about Tamar and Judah, right? This is Tamar's son. So it says, now these are generations of Phares. Phares begot Hezron, and Hezron begot Ram, and Ram begot Minadab. And Minadab begot Nashon, and Nashon begot Salmon, and Salmon begot Boaz. That's who Ruth married. And Boaz begot Obed. So keep in mind, it says Obed. Boaz got Obed. If I scroll up, it's going to tell you the name of the boy. See,
Mhm.
and they call his name Obed. So this ain't Naomi's boy. This is her son, her daughter-in-law boy. So it says, and Simon begot Boaz. Boaz is, who was married with Ruth. You can look at the top to see that. And Boaz, Boaz, Boaz. Everything's Boaz and Boaz. And we got seeing Boaz, the hand of Naomi. Thou must buy also Ruth. So he was buying Ruth, the Moabite, just the wife of the dead. That so she was married to Naomi's son. She had two sons who died. So if you keep reading, it'll say more. See, so right here, more of her Ruth, more by the wife of Malone, who was Naomi's son, and Boaz had purchased her to be his wife. He purchased her to be his wife. Okay, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance. All right. So, and right here it says, so Boaz. So listen right here. It says, so Boaz took Ruth and she became his wife. So we read this earlier. So Boaz and Ruth is married, and he went in unto her and gave her conception. She bare a son. So we got Boaz and Ruth who bear the son, not Naomi. But as we look, it's going to say Naomi was the mom. And verse 17, and when the women, her neighbors, gave it a name, saying, there is a son born to Naomi. So you catch that? It was
Mhm.
Ruth and Boaz, but it states that there is a son born to Naomi. So that's interesting. So Salmon begot Boaz, Boaz begot Obed through Ruth. And when we go to Matthew's lineage, Matthew chapter 1, it's going to say Boaz begot Obed and Obed's of Ruth. It's not going to name Naomi's name is not in that at all. Okay, because she's not the mother of Obed, but she's given credit. And
Right.
that could be explained easily. And Obed begot Jesse, and Jesse begot David. So it let you know, like, okay, there we go. We got David now. So it wants you to show you that David was basically in the line of a Moabite, okay, a Moabite, not an Israelite. Okay, so that's it on that, right? Oh no no no, we're not that. So so keep in mind that Naomi is the mother-in-law of Ruth, and Ruth is the daughter-in-law. Okay, so read so it says Boaz will redeem Ruth. Okay, so read Ruth chapter 3 verse 1.
Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said unto her, my daughter, shall I not seek rest for thee, that it may be well with thee? I'm not understanding that verse.
Okay, so what don't you understand?
I don't understand the verse itself.
Okay, so let's do it like this. It says, then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said unto her.
Hmm.
So far we know Naomi is a mother-in-law of somebody, right?
Hmm.
And do you agree is Ruth?
Yes.
Okay, so now if we take off law, wouldn't it say Naomi, her mother?
Right.
Okay, so what is the in law? Why does the law make her mother? So what law are we talking about here?
That's a good question.
Marriage. Marriage.
Marriage. Okay.
Marriage. So
Okay.
don't forget Malone, who was Naomi's son. So Naomi has a son, just like how you may have a son. I don't know. And if your son go get married, right, to a woman,
Mhm.
wouldn't that woman become your daughter-in-law?
Right.
Right. But she's only your daughter-in-law. If your son doesn't marry her, is she your daughter-in-law?
No.
Right. So she's your daughter through the law of marriage, correct?
Right.
Okay, so that's what we're reading so far. And then it says, my daughter. Hold on. Why doesn't it say my daughter-in-law?
Um,
It just flat out call her daughter. Okay, so that's important. When you catch something like that, you have to keep that in your mind, right? You got to archive that in your mind and say, okay, because somebody is said to be a daughter, said to be a son, said to be a father, said to be a mother, that does not necessarily mean that's their actual father, mother, daughter, son.
right,
So that means that you got to read the context. So somebody say, hey, precept on precept, look at this. So now I can show you precept on precept. Hey, look, this is my daughter. But if you don't know the story, you could think that. But then if you know the story, you'll say, okay, that's the daughter-in-law, not the daughter. All
right.
right. So anyway, shall I not seek rest for thee, that it may be well with thee? So this is why we do this. So you say you understand that? Cool. This is why we go to Bible Hub. So if you ever read the King James and don't understand, you go
Mhm.
to Bible Hub, you go to the same exact verse. So we're doing Ruth, we go to chapter 3, verse 1. Right? So you go here, you click this right here, and we'll go to chapter 3. Boom. So now chapter 3 is going to give you different translations of that particular verse. And then we get to see which word, which translation make the most sense to you. Now me, I like the God's words translation, as I said earlier. So let's go there. Right here. It says Naomi, Ruth's mother-in-law, said to her, my daughter, shouldn't I try to look for a home that would be good for you? Now does it make sense? Let me know if it make a little more sense to you now. I think you're back on
I
mute.
was speaking. Yeah, I was speaking. I was
Oh
on
yeah.
mute. Okay, yes, that makes sense.
Right. So that's all. Like never be ashamed to like look at a different translation to get a better understanding. Because trust me, anybody who calls himself a leader or teacher is definitely doing that. Because this stuff don't make sense to us either. Because it's a 400-year-old language, old English, and we speak modern English, 2023, baby. So sometimes we got to go back to, or sometimes we got to use a modern translated Bible to understand what's going on here. Okay, so there we go. So now we know she's just looking for a home for her. That's all. But I wanted to hone in on she's calling her daughter and not daughter-in-law. Okay, so let's skip that. So just archive that in the back of your brain because we're gonna visit that another lesson. Okay, so now we're at Hosea chapter 2. Matter of fact, we'll do that one last. Let's go to First Samuel chapter 1. Okay, so now if you see right here, we're at my favorite translation of a modern Bible, God's Words translation. Okay, you can start at verse 1 and read on down.
There was a man named Elkanah from Ramathaim, Zaphim in the mountains of Ephraim. He was the son of Jeroham, grandson of Elihu, great grandson of Tohu, whose father was from the tribe of Ephraim. Elkanah had two wives, one named Hannah and the other Peninnah.
Right.
Peninnah had children, but Hannah had
Oh,
none.
so there we go. So we're looking at a polygamous relationship, right? Because people like to brag on this. And it says they had two wives, Pinna or Pinah, and we had Hannah. So Pinna had children. The Lord blessed her to have children, and Hannah wasn't so blessed; she had none. All right. So read verse 3.
Every year, this man would go from his own city to worship and sacrifice to the Lord of armies at Shiloh. Eli's two sons, Hophni and I don't know how to say that.
Hold on. Let me look at that. You said,
Panahas,
oh, okay.
Pinus.
So you could say,
I don't know why I would put the F before the PH.
now I was going to use an F, but look. So here's where blue letter Bible is good. So we got a blue letter Bible. Watch this. So same thing. We go to First Samuel, right? Chapter 1. Now watch this. Now this is good at. This is good at translation, right? So we're gonna go down
to
to,
3.
yeah, here we go. Watch this. So you can just click click tools, and then automatically go to interlinear, and then you go down to the name, down scroll till you see the name, right there. You click it.
Strong's H6372. Pinchas. Pinchas.
There you go.
Pinchas. Okay. Eli's two sons, Hophni and Pinchas, served there as priests of the Lord. Whenever Elkanah offered a sacrifice, he would give portions of it to his wife Peninnah and all her sons and daughters. He would also give one portion to Hannah because he loved her, even though the Lord had kept her from having children.
Well, ho. Who kept her from having children?
God, the Lord.
Right. So that's why I tell you, and everybody that can listen, that if a woman is barren, it's because the Most High made her barren. Women are not born barren. If they're born barren, it's the Most High's will. He had hands in that. Okay, it's because of him you're barren. So it said the Lord had kept her from having children. Okay, so now read verse 6.
Because the Lord had made her unable to have children, her rival Peninnah tormented her endlessly in order to make her.
Oh, you mean the sister wife?
Right.
Yeah. So everybody be bragging about these polygyny, but they never tell you that the wives always beef. Okay, read that one more time, verse 6.
Because the Lord had made her unable to have children, her rival Peninnah tormented her endlessly in order to make her miserable.
Mm.
This happened year after year.
Purposely make her miserable. Okay, go ahead. And she said, you can't have kids. Okay, go ahead.
This happened year after year. Whenever Hannah went to the Lord's house, Peninnah would make her miserable, and Hannah would cry and not eat.
Mm.
Her husband Elkanah would ask her, Hannah, why are you crying? Why haven't you eaten? Why are you so downhearted? Don't I mean more to you than 10 sons? One day after Hannah
Wait. So we read that again?
Yeah.
So, but this time it's Elkanah, her husband. So he's saying like, don't be so sad that you can't have kids, right? You can't have sons because I should be more important than anything that you can bear, right? You can have, that you can conceive. Okay. So reverse. There's an emphasis on sons, right? Because we read that last time, and so sons are valued highly, obviously, because they keep giving a comparison of sons. Okay. So let's go ahead to verse 9.
One day after Hannah had something to eat and drink in Shiloh, she got up. The priest Eli was sitting on a chair by the door of the Lord's temple. Though she was resentful, she prayed to the Lord while she cried. She made this vow. Lord of armies, if you will look at my misery, remember me, and give me a boy, then I will give him to you for as long as he lives. A razor will never be used on his head.
Okay. So she would give him to you for as long as he lives. So that means that she just want a boy, and as soon as she have him, she gonna just, here you go, Lord. He's yours, and so like she don't get the luxury to raise him like normal mom, right? She here he's to the Lord. Okay, so let's go, verse 12.
While Hannah was praying a long time in front of the Lord, Eli was watching her mouth. She was praying silently. Her voice couldn't be heard. only her lips were moving. Eli thought she was drunk. How long are you going to stay drunk? Eli asked her. Get
Stop.
rid of it.
Wait, hold on. So when it says when it says when it says that her lips was moving and he thought she was drunk, what do you think is going on here?
He think she talking to herself.
Well, who is she talking to?
The Lord.
And what's that called when your lips are moving but you're not saying something intelligible? What's that called?
I'm not sure.
Speaking in tongues, maybe.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't even.
All right. So look, how about this? Let's stop there. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 14. Right. That only makes sense because 1 Corinthians 14 is talking about speaking in tongues. Okay. So is my font big enough, or do I need to make it bigger?
It's fine.
Okay. So start at verse 1. 1 Corinthians 14 and 1.
Follow after charity and desire spiritual gifts, but rather that ye may prophecy.
Prophesy. Okay.
Prophesy. For he that speaketh in an unknown tongue speaketh not unto men, but unto God.
Stop. Because stop. Elkanah said he couldn't. He seen her lips going, but he
Couldn't
he
hear.
knows what's going on, right? So it says, "For he that speaketh in unknown tongue speaketh not unto men, but unto God." Okay, so now keep going.
For no man understandeth him.
Stop.
How,
Stop. Elkanah could not understand her, but go ahead, keep going.
howbeit in the spirit he speaketh mysteries.
So in other words, in the spirit, nobody knows what's going on besides you and the Lord. Okay, read verse 3.
But he that prophesieth speaketh unto men to edification and exhortation and comfort.
Have you ever read this chapter before?
Not entirely. I never really got to this chapter, I say.
Okay. All right, well, it's good. So read verse 4. And matter of fact, just keep reading.
He that speaketh is in an unknown tongue edifieth himself, but he that prophesieth edifieth the church. I would that ye all spake with tongues.
Stop.
But rather,
So just keep in mind that we're talking about tongues now. So the person that's talking the language that nobody can understand, this is called tongues, right? So I would that ye all speak with tongues. Go ahead.
but rather that ye prophesy. For greater is he that prophesieth than he that speaketh with tongues, except he interpret, that the church may receive edifying.
So if you're gonna speak in tongues, you gotta have interpreters so everybody knows what's going on. What's being said. Verse 6.
Now, brethren, if I come unto you speaking with tongues, what shall I profit you? Except I shall speak to you either by revelation or by knowledge, or by prophesying or by doctrine.
Right. So it's saying when you speak in tongues, like you're really just talking to God. So when you speak in tongues in front of other people, like you're not really doing nothing. Okay, read verse 7.
And even things without life-giving sound, whether pipe or harp, except they give a distinction in the sounds, how shall it be known what is piped or harped?
Right. So he's showing you a comparison between a person who speaks in tongues in a church and a person who prophesies. So he clearly said that prophesying in the church is better than speaking in tongues. Okay, so now read verse 9.
Mhm. So likewise, ye, except ye utter by the tongue words easy to be understood, how shall it be known what is spoken? For ye shall speak into the air.
Right. So in other words, you might as well just talk openly in the air, right?
All right.
Okay, now read verse 10.
There are, it may be, so many kinds of voices in the world, and none of them is without signification. Therefore, if I know, if I know not the meaning of the voice, I shall be unto him that speaketh a barbarian, and he that speaketh shall be a barbarian unto me.
All right, stop right there. Hold on 1 second. Let me get him. He's screaming.
Mm-hmm.
You hear him in the background? All right, let me get him. Still fighting. Come. He just finds his bottle and he throws. He sleeps. Look, I got it. Okay, so read verse 12.
You said verse 12. Even so, ye, for as much as ye are zealous of spiritual gifts, seek that ye may excel to the edifying of the church.
Right. So in other words, he's saying, if you're gonna be seeking spiritual gifts, seek the one that edifies the church, which is prophesy, not speaking tongues. But you see people in the church, they go to the speaking tongues thing. So they go opposite of what Apostle Paul is recommending, right?
All right.
Okay, so 13, 14.
Wherefore let him that speaketh in an unknown tongue pray that he may interpret.
Right.
For if I pray in an unknown tongue, my spirit prayeth, but my understanding is unfruitful.
Right, verse 15.
What is it then? I will pray with the spirit, and I will pray with the understanding also. I will sing with the spirit, and I will sing with the understanding also.
All right. So I want to skip. Okay, now go to 18.
I thank my God. I speak with tongues more than ye all.
So you said, so Apostle Paul's like, yeah, I speak more tongues than all y'all, right? So I'm not impressed. Read verse 19.
Yet in the church I had rather speak 5 words with my understanding, that by my voice I might teach others also, than 10,000 words in an unknown tongue.
Right. So when I used to talk to Christians, man, back in the day, I used to read his tone. They could not believe this was in the Bible. It was like unbelievable. I wish there was like YouTube and viral at that time, because when they read this, they just they like, what kind of Bible is this? It's your Bible, right? Okay. Let's see. Are we done here? So okay. 22 is the killer. Read that.
Just a minute, hold on. 22. Wherefore tongues are for a sign, not to them that believe, but to them that believe not. But prophesying serveth not for them that believe not, but for them which believe.
Okay, so basically he said, if y'all in the church, not doing this tongue thing, this is for the non-believers. So you're basically telling on yourself. Because the believers don't do this amongst themselves, right? So it's saying like you speak in tongues for the unbelievers, not the believers. Okay, so prophesying is for them. Right. Yep. Okay, so prophesying is for those that believe, and speaking in tongues are for those that do not believe. All right, read 23.
23. If therefore the whole church be come together into one place, and all speak with tongues, and there come in those that are unlearned or unbelievers, will they not say that ye are mad?
And that's how we all felt when we went to the church and they speaking in tongues. Like, yo, this is satanic. That's what Paul said. Paul's like, yo, when you do this to unbelievers, they look at y'all like y'all crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now read 24.
But if all prophecy and
Prophesy.
if all prophesy, and there come in one that believeth not, or one unlearned, he is convinced of all. He is judged of all.
Right. So it showed a clear comparison. When you prophesy with unbelievers, among unbelievers, and you speak in tongues among unbelievers. Prophesying is what's going to get them to bear witness. Okay, so now I'm going to. Okay, so here's the rule. Speaking in tongues, read verse 27, 28.
If any man speak in an unknown tongue, let it be by two, or all, or at the most by three, and that by course, and let one interpret. No, go to the next one.
Yeah, 28.
But if there be no interpreter, let him keep silence in the church, and let him speak to himself and to God.
Okay, so Hannah didn't have an interpreter. That's why she was not in the church. She was speaking to God. All right. Now read 31.
For ye may all prophesy one by one, that all may learn and all may be comforted.
So prophesying for edification, right? Edification means so everybody can benefit from it, can learn from it. So now 33 is the most, it's important quote in the Bible. And now you heard it in context. So read 33.
For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints.
Okay, so he was saying when somebody speaks in tongues before believers, that's confusion. Like God's not the author of that. He's the author of peace and edifying, right? That's it. That's clear. So now I'm gonna take that back to Hannah. Okay, so now read verse 12 again.
While Hannah was praying a long time in front of the Lord, Eli was watching her mouth. She was praying silently. Her voice couldn't be heard, only her lips were moving. Eli thought she was drunk. How long are you going to stay drunk? Eli asked her. Get rid of your wine. Hannah responded, No, sir, I'm not drunk. I'm depressed. I'm pouring out my heart to the Lord.
Not right there. So she clearly told you she was talking to the Lord. I'm speaking in tongues in my book. Okay, so rewrite, keep reading 16, 17, 18.
Don't take me to be a good for nothing woman. I was praying like this because I've been troubled and tormented. Eli replied, Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant your request. May you continue to be kind to me, she said. Then the woman went her way and ate. She was no longer sad. Early in the morning, Elkanah and his family got up and worshiped in front of the Lord. Then they returned home to Ramah. Elkanah made love to his wife Hannah, and the Lord remembered her. Anna became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She named him Samuel. God hears, because she said, I asked the Lord for him. To keep his vow, Elkanah and his entire household again went to offer the annual sacrifice to the Lord. But Hannah didn't go. She told her husband, I'll wait until the boy is weaned. Then I'll bring him and present him to the Lord, and he'll stay there permanently. Do what you think is best, her husband Elkanah told her. Wait until you've weaned him. May the Lord keep his word. The woman stayed and nursed her son until she had weaned him. As soon as she had weaned Samuel, she took him with her. She also brought a 3-year-old bull, half a bushel of flour, and a full wineskin. She brought him to the Lord's house at Shiloh while the boy was still a child. When the parents butchered the bull and brought the child to Eli, Sir, Hannah said, as sure as you live, I'm the woman who stood here next to you and prayed to the Lord. I prayed for this child, and the Lord granted my request. In return, I am giving him to the Lord. He will be dedicated to the Lord for his whole life. And they worship the Lord there.
Yeah, so there you go. So now you know about Hannah. So when she prayed to the Lord and her lips was moving, and Eli didn't know what she was saying, she was praying that the Lord will bless her with a kid because she was barren. Okay, and then when he went into her, it clearly says that when he went into her, um, her husband, when her husband went into her, the Lord remembered her and blessed her with a kid. Okay, so hold on one second. He's back there acting the fool. Hold on one second. All right. So now we're just gonna read. So Deborah will say for another day. So let's do Hosea to start read. And so now Hosea, I will let you know after we start reading. So we can read Hosea chapter 2. We read verse 1 earlier, Alexa. So you can start with chapter 2. This is the God's Words translation. So make it very easy.
So call your brothers and me, my people, and call your sister Ruhama, loved. Plead with your mother, plead with her. She no longer acts like my wife. She no longer treats me like her husband. Tell her to stop acting like a prostitute. Tell her to remove the lovers from between her breasts. If she refuses, I will strip her. I will leave her as naked as the day she was born. I will turn her into a dry, barren land, and she will die of thirst. I won't love her children because they are children of a prostitute. Their mother acted like a prostitute. The woman who became pregnant with them did shameful things. She said, I'll chase after my lovers. They will give me food and water, wool and linen, olive oil and wine. That is why I will block her away with thorn bushes and build a wall so that she can't get through. She will run after her lovers, but she won't catch them. She will search for them, but she won't find them. Then she will say, I'll go back to my first husband. Things were better for me than they are now. She doesn't believe that I gave her grain, new wine, and olive oil. I gave her plenty of silver and gold, but she used it to make statues of Baal. That is why I take back my grain when it has ripened and my new wine when it is in season. I will take away the wool and the linen that I gave her to cover her naked body. I will show her naked body to her lovers, and no one will rescue her from my power. I will put an end to all her celebrations, her annual festivals, her new moon festivals, her weekly worship days, all of her appointed festivals. I will destroy her grapevines and fig trees. She said that they were gifts from her lovers. I will turn her vineyards into a forest, and wild animals will devour them. I will punish her for all the time she burnt incense as an offering to other gods to Baal.
Oh, so who did that? That you know of that burnt offerings to the gods of Baal. That's Israel. So I don't know if you know, but he's talking about Israel right here. He's not talking about the actual harlot or whore. He's talking about Israel.
Okay.
Okay, so he says she. He's talking about Israel. So okay, so start where it says she put on her rings. Go ahead.
She put on her rings and jewelry, and she chased after her lovers. She forgot me, declares the Lord. That is why I'm going to win her back. I will lead her into the desert. I will speak tenderly to her. I will give her vineyards there. I will make the valley of Acre disaster a door of hope. Then she will respond as she did when she was young, as she did when she came out of Egypt. On that day, she will call me her husband, declares the Lord. She will no longer call me her master. I won't allow her to say the names of other gods called Baal. She will never again call out their names. On that day, I will make an arrangement with the wild animals, the birds, and the animals that crawl on the ground. I will destroy all the bows, swords, and weapons of war so people can live safely. Israel, I will make you my wife forever. I will be honest in
Who you say?
Israel.
Told you. So the biggest whore isn't the woman, it's the men, right? Because when we mention like when we read about harlots and whores, those are individual women. I don't recall a whole nation of women whores. But when he says Israel, he's talking about a whole nation of men whores, whole nation of them. So it's funny. Okay, so start with verse 9 again.
Israel, I will make you my wife forever. I will be honest and faithful to you. I will show you my love and compassion. I will be true to you, my wife. Then you will know the Lord. On that day, I will answer your prayers, declares the Lord. I will speak to the sky, and it will speak to the earth. And the earth will produce grain, new wine, and olive oil. You will produce many crops in Jezreel. I will plant my people in the land. Those who are not loved, I will call my loved ones. Those who are not my people, I will call my people. Then they will say, you are our God.
Okay, so what is that last for me? Those who are not my people, I will call my people. Then they will say, you are our God.
Say that again?
The Lord. He said, the verse 23. Says, I
Mm-hmm.
will plant my people in the land. Those who are not loved, I will call my loved ones. Those who are not loved. Like he's making clear he loves his people. But he says, those who are not my people, I will call my people. So those who are not my people, I will call my people. And they will say, you are our God. That was interesting. That's interesting. But chapter 2 was piggybacking off chapter 1. So earlier we read that chapter 1, it was Hosea the prophet who was told to go marry a whore and have kids by her. And they had a couple of kids, and they named one Jezreel. And then chapter 2, it's about more whores and or more whoredom, and it's this time it's Israel. So he made Hosea marry a whore because he said, well, since y'all keep marrying other guys, committing fornication and whoring anyway, y'all might as well go ahead and just, if you whore other guys, you might as well whore other women. You dig? You might as well marry a whore.
All right.
So that's like kind of like humbling them down. So far already we read Tamar played the harlot. Okay, then we read about Ruth was not Ruth, sorry, Rahab, who was the actual harlot. Then earlier we read about Gideon. So once Gideon died, Israel started to play the whoredom, going to whoredom. But Judges period, right? Judges period. There was a lot of harlots and whores. I just want to say that. And now we read in Hosea 1 and 2. Hosea is told to go marry a whore and have kids with her. This is a prophet, a worthy servant. And now we read Hosea chapter 2. He's upset that Israel as a whole nation keeps pouring around with other guys. And he named Baal as one of them.
All right.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much it. Make it short and sweet, straight reading Bible, word for word for word for word. Not too much. And he won't let me talk anyway. So he's your own. All right. So next day we're gonna read about Deborah and Barack Obama. Now I'm kidding. Deborah and Barack. All right. So thank you, sis. Let me put him to bed.
You're welcome.
We'll talk tomorrow.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.